So let's do a little Bible study here in Acts chapter 1. Here we are in Acts chapter 1. It says, Then they returned to Jerusalem from the Mount of Olivet, which is near Jerusalem, a Sabbath day's journey. And when they had entered, they went to the upper room where they were staying. Peter, James, John, Andrew, Philip, and Thomas, Bartholomew, Matthew, James, the son of Alphaeus, Simon the Zealot, and the Judas, the son of James. These all continued with one accord in prayer and supplication with the women and Mary, the mother of Jesus, who was with his brothers. So here's a question, and I'll give you the observations. Where were they? When they returned to Jerusalem, they came from what? Well, actually, they came from the Mount of Olives in another translation. And they traveled a distance, a Sabbath day walk. And I'm going to give you some of these trivial answers this morning because I don't want you to get, well, what does that even mean? That's about a day's journey. It's about that's actually from their tradition. They're not supposed to try it. So when they arrived, they went upstairs to the room where they were staying. Why did they go there? Well, they were told to. So we learn two facts of interest. First, they were in the region of the Mount of Olives. Second, they returned to the upper room in Jerusalem. I don't have a map to throw up here, but the Mount of Olives is on the east side of the old city of Jerusalem, just across the Kidron Valley from the Temple Mount area. You know, you remember that, right? You've been there. No, none of us have been there. But sometimes we get caught up on this stuff. And so they were on the west side of the mountain, and this side of this mountain is absolutely peppered, dotted with thousands of Jewish graves. And why were they buried on that side? Well, they were buried so on the day of resurrection they will be raised facing Jerusalem. Amen? Amen. So when Luke tells us that they were about a Sabbath day walk, he was referring to a Jewish tradition. And that restricted the walking on the Sabbath to about 2,000 paces. That's about 3/4 of a mile. Luke also tells us that they returned to the upper room in Jerusalem. Now, that may be the same room where Jesus and his disciples met for the Last Supper, but nobody can be for certain. All we know is they went to an upper room. Now, if you were to go today, I looked this up a long time ago. Actually, a friend of mine's going to be going to Jerusalem, and he was sharing some of the facts. He says, well, he was going to go to the upper room, but apparently the room he's going to is probably not the one that Jesus was in. Why? Or the disciples were in, or Jesus, because that was actually built by the Crusaders about 800 years ago. So it's probably not the same room.